This is LA Wildcats quarterback Josh Johnson, and this is the XFL Show.
Welcome, football fans. This is For the Love of Football. This is the XFL Show. I'm Alan.
And I'm Bryant.
Today, we're on the offensive. We're not going to be offensive, but we're on the offensive. We're going to try not to. The season is over indeed. And that means when a season ends, it becomes awards season. And this is episode 124. Yes, we're going to play you off right away, Bryant. You get out of here. We're counting down the top offensive players from the 2020 XFL season. Here we are. Welcome to award season, Brian. It's going to be a special few shows coming up.
Everybody thought awards season ended in February, but no, it starts today. We're going to start with the offensive players, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Some unfortunate news about the league this past week, but you know what? It's okay, because now we're going to get into these awards that you and I have been talking about we wanted to give away for a long time.
Yeah, we've had this conversation for a while, and then, it came showtime. Okay, now we're going to give away some awards, and we still barely could agree on who's going to come up with these spots, but we're going to count them down. The top 5 offensive players of the season, with number 1 being our official, unofficial XFL Offensive Player of the Year, and this is based solely on the most important data when it comes to the XFL, and that is our eyeballs. These 4 eyeballs that you see on the screen right now on YouTube, the 4 eyeballs you don't see listening on the podcast. Bryant, you and I did a lot of hard work watching XFL football for 5 weeks and then yelling back and forth at each other face-to-face on our video chats, and then also, of course, in our messages that we constantly said, no, you dummy, it can't be him because he's not as good as him.
Our arguments, Alan, led to a complete rewrite of this episode, if you really think about it. So, yeah, you and I we didn't just pull names out of a hat, even though you suggested it because we couldn't agree at one point. We put this list together thoughtfully and thoroughly with these 4 eyeballs.
And we're going to get to the top 5 XFL offensive players of 2020. Oh, no, baby. And that's coming up in the hot read later on. Also on this episode as of, yesterday, because we're recording late on this one, Bryant. But I like it because I wanted to wait for the data to come in with the info, the news, the hot goss on who's going to the NFL. XFL players eligible as of March 23rd to sign with NFL teams, and we've got some players already to talk about on day one, Bryant.
Yeah, some signings. As soon as I woke up this morning here on the West Coast, signings were had to the NFL teams. So we'll get to all those that have been confirmed. I'm sure more and more will come out by the time we come back to you on Friday morning. But this will be the first instance, I think, of the players that we thought would go right away. The first rounders, I guess you could say.
The
day oneers
of XFL free agency is I don't know. We don't have an official name for it. I guess we'll call it XFL free agency here, Bryant. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the season officially being over, because that letter did come out from the league to fans and really helping everyone kind of put closure on it. And now we could start looking forward to 2021 completely. That's what award season's all about, putting the bow on the season officially. And we're going to start with offense. We will be doing defensive players. We will be giving other awards away, maybe an MVP. That'll all be coming up on future episodes. This episode's all about the offense. We also are going to have a special guest here coming up actually in just a moment, but real quick, let you know how you can interact with us at XFL Show is the way to do it on social media, on Twitter, and we're constantly there. We're going to probably put up a poll question or two based off these top 5s that we're doing. We did a top 5 last episode, Bryant, that was very interesting. Doing the show, and the reaction was pretty fun, seeing what people thought about that, so we appreciate you. You could also call in with your reactions and your suggestions for any of the awards we're giving away, anything we're discussing, 724-565-4XFL, and it's it's been fun, even though the XFL season is over and everybody is. I think I'm on. I don't even. We have a calendar downstairs keeping track of the quarantine days. We put Q and the number of days we haven't really gone out in public, go for strolls, around the block. But I think I'm on like 11. I don't know, but I'm still. I haven't not. There's not been a day goes by.
How's your toilet paper situation? Just curious.
Oh, we're good.
You're good. Yeah, I bought the. I found some. I found some toilet paper. It's the kind of toilet paper that makes you not want to use the toilet paper. So
we're responsibly in a good spot. We didn't hoard or anything. But yeah, hopefully everyone out there is as well. But so like 11 straight days being at home, but still talking XFL news coming out. Lots to get into. No shortage of stuff for this episode. And it's going to be a lot of fun. 724-565 for XFL if you want to be on the show. And right now, Bryant, we're about to have someone be on the show, but actually we skipped the fan line this time and went directly to them. We're going to bring in a video chat we had with a big XFL fan, a big BattleHawks fan a little bit earlier today. This
big
guy,
XFL show fan too,
and
I will say.
One of the biggest fans of the show. He's a day oneer, and his name's Drew Dusenberry. And Drew D is we talked to him, Bryant. We talked to him when we were in St. Louis as well. A guy who completely embraced the XFL, and he's got some cool stuff to say about what it was like being an XFL fan, particularly in St. Louis.
And the city of St. Louis and what it brings to the sports community every single season with every single sport they participate in. So some good insight from a true diehard BattleHawks fan who seemed like part of him maybe got ripped away a few years ago, but it's back, and he's committed to 2021 just as much as the XFL is.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there are a lot of fans like him, and we're going to hear from him here right now on This Is the XFL Show. So instead of dinking and dunking around the league, around social media, we're going to go straight to an XFL fan, and this is cool. We haven't done this before, so we're looking forward to maybe doing some more of these. Here's our conversation with an XFL fan, their story. It's Drew in St. Louis. Something very special for going around XFL social media this time around, Bryant, because we're bringing on an actual XFL fan like us. We want to hear it straight from you listening, and a lot of you have been listening for a very long time, like our guest today. His name's Drew. He's in St. Louis. He's a BattleHawks fan naturally. And Drew, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us here, socially distant, but in the thick of it, talking some XFL.
Well, thanks for having me, gentlemen. As I said, the pleasure's all mine. I think I've listened to just about every one of your podcasts when we found out we had a team, and you guys have helped me not only get excited, but sometimes the cubicle life can drag on during the day, and just having some background football talk helps get me through.
Well, we appreciate it.
That's great, Jeremy.
Appreciate
that, man.
Yeah, that's what we're for, right, Brian? We're here to get people through the work day.
We're here to get through people through 2020 now too, Alan, until we get to 2021. Drew, you're one of the OGs. I mean, you've supported us from the very beginning, so thank you for that for sure. But I got to ask you, that lead up to kickoff in St. Louis seemed different than any other market. How ready and how excited were you, the entire city really, for this season to kick off?
To be honest, I knew we were going to show up, but I had no idea that it was going to be that magnitude. It was in my wildest dreams. I told my wife the last time that I had been that excited in the dome for a football game had to have been a decade prior. I think it was a Mizzou, Illinois game, not even an NFL game.
Wow. I mean, that first game we were there. We shared some spam sandwiches with you and your team at the tailgate. That was amazing. But you're right. You guys brought it. You brought everyone had like the merch on, or you guys had some people had custom BattleHawks stuff. You had chants ready to go. Two of them. You had the 𝐬𝐞𝐝 and the BattleHawks. I mean, no fan base was more prepared for the XFL than St. Louis.
And I think that just comes naturally. We don't intend it to, but we're a sports town, and we just like to have fun. It's just nobody's going to feel embarrassed as long as you're rooting for your team. And I don't know if that comes from Midwest roots or maybe the fact that we feel we've been jarred a little bit as a football town, but you see the same thing at Blues and Cardinals games.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, and definitely no one was ashamed of rooting hard I mean, they were there at like 7 a.m. tailgate when Brian guys started roaming around the battle.
We slept in and got there at 8:30.
Yeah.
That's what happened on accident.
Yeah. We could have been there early. They were already well into it by the time we got there. So I want to ask you, Drew, though, what about, that tradition returning for the XFL? Like you guys told us at your tailgate, you had been doing this for a long time, obviously for the Rams, but then the BattleHawks come and you guys kind of picked up where you left off. Did it feel the same?
It felt like coming home, to be honest. It got to a point, especially when the Rams weren't very good towards the end, that it was circumstance coming to tailgate that, well, we were going to the football game, but we weren't really excited to be going into the football game to find out what was going to happen, right? It was in the fall, Saturdays, Sundays. Well, not as many Saturdays as weren't in the playoffs as often, but Sundays getting together and being around each other when throughout the year, you get busy, you got work, you got weddings, et cetera. Finding one time to get everybody together, football was always our excuse.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. They had a special one, though. Brian, we went to their tailgate. Like, you could tell they had been doing that for a long time, and they were ready when the XFL came rolling to town.
Yeah, they were cooped up in a corner, pun intended there, up on the parking lot. That was really kind of nice up there. Drew, we know about the football leaving St. Louis. We know about the excitement coming back. But just in general as a sports town, what makes St. Louis so passionate? Because you're right, this is not only for football. It's for the Cardinals. It's for the Blues. You guys are so passionate about this team. Is it just a way of life out there in St. Louis? I guess maybe explain that, because I'm from LA and you don't see that here that often.
I think that's a really good question. So part of it's Midwest, being proud of where you're from. I think also St. Louis has gotten a bad rap nationally, whether it be our crime statistics or our declining population, that there's so many great people here. There's so many doers. There's so many wonderful universities. And Washington University is one of the top research medical schools in the country, that when we get a chance to shine, people work hard and come prepared. But the reality is, like I said earlier, I couldn't express the magnitude, was we don't have to work that hard. We're already awesome. We're a classic American city. The way I've heard it described as St. Louis is the westernmost eastern city. And really, to be honest, we've almost enjoyed it more so than the rest of the country realizes. We have some of the best boroughs in the country, and it's incredibly affordable to live here. That we love St. Louis. So when we hear about St. Louis not being in a good light in any aspect, whether it be sports, whether it be politics, whether it be social circumstances, I think everybody feels a little dig at them personally.
Man, you guys definitely took it personally when it came to the football stuff too. I mean, that crowd was so loud, very vocal about the past issues and what people had said about it as a football town. And then you get that team that you had there. I mean, talk about the BattleHawks now. I mean, you got to see Jordan Ta'amu and that defense with Will Hill, Kenny Robinson, Casey Sales getting Girl Scout cookies. Like, they had a bunch of characters. Did you gravitate towards anyone individually? What'd you like most about the team?
I think the chemistry. I think LaDainian Washington said it best. It felt like the relationship that he had at Mizzou when he was in college, that Gary Pinkel had built that family-style atmosphere, and that's what Coach Hayes did as well. These guys in the XFL, they've been told they're not good enough. They're just one step slower than the last guy, or they didn't catch this many balls in camp, so they got cut. So I think that Hayes, at least from my perspective, outside looking in, channeled that. And it's a good thing that the only way that we're going to rise is together, right? There's not some superstar. There isn't Tom Brady coming here to lead the way with this proven resume, that we're all a bunch of outcasts. I think the Las Vegas Golden Knights channeled that when they had their run to the Stanley Cup final a couple of years ago, and it worked.
I like that analogy. That makes a lot of sense to me for sure. And this team, I think, took a lot of the early portions down in Houston probably to build a lot of that, and they came ready. I mean, they got that first week 1 win, Brian, in Dallas. A lot of you, not me, you didn't expect that to happen. And then St. Louis, 5 weeks of XFL football. And honestly, I mean, they lost to DC, but I think coming out of that, we still all were saying the BattleHawks felt like they were the team in the East. What do you think about – let's talk about it now. The elephant in the room, the season getting cut short in that regard, because you guys had a damn good team. I mean, is that good? Do you think that's just going to fuel XFL fans in St. Louis even more when we do kick off again? Do you think that is going to just carry over the same atmosphere we had when the season got cut short?
The best thing I saw on social media, so we got the email sent out because we have a positive balance, right, on our tickets moving forward. And somebody said they could just save a lot of time and money when they just go ahead and not send this email and just move the money to next year because we're already all in.
I love that. Yes.
So good. Oh, man, Drew. Well, I think they gave you a great team to cheer. It would have been hard for me to see any team to go into that dome and actually win because they were supposed to, 50 to 60, I think is what they were expecting for week 7 against the Wildcats. I think that's what they were looking to do. Oh, man, I hope they kick the season off in St. Louis next year. That's going to be amazing if they can.
I hope so too. That'd be fun. Honestly, I thought we would have sold out. We probably would have beat the Vipers, and I think it's 67,000. Whatever the fire marshal says that we're allowed to put on paper would have been the capacity crowd for the game.
Oh, no doubt, man. No doubt. Especially with the winning, because with the winning, even more people. I think if they were just middle of the road, still you're looking at what you were seeing because just people were excited to see what the team had. But the fact that they were winning, I mean, that was a lot of fun. So St. Louis got their team back, man. And before we let you go, I want to know just any one takeaway you had from this XFL season. It's cut short, but we're going to be looking at the top offensive players today. If you have a player, a moment from your experience at the games, anything you want to tell us and leave us with before we let you go here. Leave us with what you were left with when it came to XFL 2020.
Sure. I think I'll take it outside of the St. Louis perspective. I'll talk about Tamu. I've known all along that there's talent out there to be not only to be played that you haven't seen at that level. I don't want to dig too much at the other league, but there's not really a development league, right? So you've got the college tape, and then you move into the professional league, and just like any business, it doesn't have to be professional sports. You got to have the proper mentor. You got to have the proper development in place to really see where people can shine. And when I saw Jordan Tamu take off for the first time, he looked like a thoroughbred racing down the field. And I could just imagine him doing that on Sunday in the big league. And I thought, why hasn't anybody given him a chance to do this? Like, well, there's only so many weeks in camp. There's only so much time. There's only so many reps that can be had that this is the opportunity. And we're excited in St. Louis to be a part of it.
That's for sure. He was one of those players I definitely thought, like, in college, a fun player to watch, and you just knew that guy when it came to the NFL, probably weren't going to get to see him too much, maybe in some preseason games. But the XFL, exactly what you're talking about, Drew. I think you hit the nail on the head there, man. Brian, you got anything left for Drew?
That's it, Drew. I knew we banter a lot on Twitter, so it was a lot of fun, man. Keep it up. What do you do?
Ask him to send us. Ask him to send us the spam sandwiches. Ask him to send us in the mail. That's the whole point of the call.
I got the recipe. I can't find the spicy spam. That's the only thing I can't find. I got to figure out where that is.
I'll put that as an action.
Those are really good.
It's right. Spicy spam, jalapenos,
peanut butter.
I had it with pepper jack cheese, right? And then
yes.
And then the bread was what again?
It was Texas toast.
Texas
toast.
Yes.
Classic. Butters, ideally.
Delicious.
Drew, it was a lot of fun, man. I hope to make it out to St. Louis. If you're ever in LA or in Pittsburgh, always hit us up, man. It's a lot of fun. And we'll catch you down the road, bud.
We'll do. And just parting, I take great pride in trying to represent St. Louis sports fans. So if you guys need anything from us, any XFL takes or anything we can do here as BattleHawk Nation, let us know.
We know it. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks a lot, man.
Take care. Have a good evening. Stay safe.
Thanks to Drew. for talking BattleHawks, talking St. Louis, talking being a fan, listening to the show in his cubicle. That's what it's all about. We appreciate his time. And I like his insight there on Jordan Ta'amu, who we're going to discuss actually here in just a second, Bryant. But I just can't say enough about the hospitality he and his gang showed us when we went to their tailgate. And, you know, just there's something different about, I don't know, you know, Guardians fans, I love them, but they're a little rowdier and they're there for like a great time. But the heart on the sleeve thing and just laying it all out there like Drew just did, talking about, you know, the deep passion and the reasons why, like that's something I think is rare and really specific to St. Louis and cities like that too. So every fan base is different. Those St. Louis fans are really special, and they'll tell you honestly all about it. And that is one of the best things about what happened with the XFL's return here in 2020.
It did. It brought, you know, football back to a community that really missed it. And to Drew's point, he's one person of the entire city of St. Louis, because what we saw from him, the hospitality, the energy, the welcome, the drive to be the best fan that they could, was really somewhere we saw. Alan, you and I did an entire loop around that dome outside before the game started, and every single inch of that perimeter was covered in BattleHawks fans and fans just like Drew.
Oh, absolutely. And they had their own traditions all on deck because they'd been waiting they've been in hibernation. So that was really cool. We appreciate Drew giving us the time. And if you want to be on the show, hit us up, 724-5654-XFL, and you can be on the XFL Fan Line. We'll play your voicemail. And you know what? If we're doing it on a particular episode, maybe we'll set up a Skype call with you like that as well. We love talking directly with fans. We're looking forward to having players and other people in the league, coaches, executives, whomever, during this off season that we're now in, and that this shows where they're gonna hopefully be joining you fans and speaking directly to you, because now hey Bryant, back on the road to kickoff. I know you missed it. You love
how
the
many
open
weeks,
road.
Alan?
You love it. Oh, we got to start it up. We'll start it up. We don't have a date though. We don't have a specific date. I'm assuming it'll be February. But yeah, we're on the road to kickoff again. Bryant's favorite place to be.
It's where I feel most comfortable, you know, inside my home, waiting for football to start, not football actually being played.
Now on the road to kickoff, though, Bryant, and this is just a smooth transition, the entire road this time, you will have a friendly companion with you the entire time. No, it won't be me. It'll be the XFL app.
Not friendly.
I'm not friendly at all, but you'll have the XFL app to be friendly to you, which you could download for free. That's right. The XFL app is where you get all your XFL right there in the palm of your hand. So you get insider videos, you get this show, you get the latest news from the league. It's all there on the XFL app. You could follow your particular team if you want to as well, or just follow all 8 teams. And it is downloadable for free in the iOS, in the Apple Store, Google Play, wherever you get your apps. I'm not going to tell you where to download it particularly. I'm just saying it's there and you can get it. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but you probably should have the XFL app, especially if you're listening or watching this show. So download it right now, the official XFL app. It's free, and it is our read that we had to do right there, Bryant, to get us to this next portion of the show that is going to be a lot of fun, because it is day one of XFL free agency, players on the open market. I don't know what you want to call it, but there's movement. There's stuff to talk about. The season's officially over now. Let's talk about that in the cover two.
All right, guys, be quiet. I got an announcement.
Now make sure you be quiet and listen to this, everybody. The season is officially over. And if I could pull up the official thank you from the league, it was pretty heartfelt from Commissioner Oliver Luck and President Jeffrey Pollack. If you've seen it on social media, you've read it on XFL.com, but I just love the part where it says, when our teams return to the field, we'll make every effort to ensure your faith in us is rewarded with even more fun and excitement. Your passion is our purpose, and everything we do every day for every season to come is for the love of football. That's not stopping with season 1 or season I guess you could call it half, Bryant. But everybody stay connected, safe, and healthy, and we're going to ride this long road to 2021 together. And I appreciate the league as a fan coming out with that letter, kind of, just letting us know that, yes, the season is over. It won't be played. We can move on. We could do, for us, Bryant, we could do our award show, but more importantly, fans could start thinking about 2021 and appreciating what we had for those 5 weeks. And I like what I saw also with our next topic here in the cover two is with the players moving to the NFL, and we've already seen some of them. There's been tweets out there. I believe 𝐦𝐞𝐝 from ESPN said the XFL worked when it comes to what we saw with player movement today. And I think with that letter, the XFL also worked because the people, the millions of people who read that this week on social media and XFL.com read that letter and said, damn, the season's over. And they were genuinely upset, but then they read the part, they'll be back. I'm looking forward to it. And as football fans, I think the beginning of this crazy year was one of the best times ever for me as a football fan, and I'm sure millions of other people, Bryant, like yourself. So there it is, the official stamp. Season's over.
Yep, the season's over, Alan, like you said, and it's something that I think we all are. I mean, when you hear what's going on in the world and you see all these other leagues thinking about whether or not they get to play, and they play all the way through June, to me, at least, I'm a realist, and I knew that this probably was coming down the pipe. But to have it be official, I guess, was a little hard. But the XFL saying thank you to fans, appreciative of what's happening. That's something that the league, takes value in. You and I, Alan, have been around most of these, as I like to say, quote unquote, corporate people for a long time now, and they genuinely care about what we think. They care about what fans think. They ask us what do we see when we're out there. A lot of people within the XFL, us included, care about what the fans think and what the fans want out of this show, out of the XFL going forward. So I think the XFL is really being genuine when they say thank you to the fans. And you're right, Alan. The XFL, I think I'm going to go back to that tweet that I had about a week ago or so, that the XFL didn't fill a void in football to me. It filled a void in sports, right? It was access. It was quality football. It was just so different that I think you're going to see a lot of leagues, not just the NFL, but other sports adapt to what the XFL did and adopt a lot of their innovations.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be interested. I know as football fans, we'll see what the NFL or college do in reaction to what was put there on tape by the XFL as a league this year that was super innovative. We'll see what happens with new players coming in, because this is an off season, Bryant. I saw a lot of people out there saying, oh no, XFL players can go to the NFL now. And yes, that's as of March 23rd. Yeah. But think of all the players coming to the XFL now from the NFL, from the CFL, from college. They all saw it too and said, damn, I want to be a part of that.
So players that were good enough in 2019 to play in the NFL are now going to be available to play in the XFL, in 2019, are now going to play in the XFL in 2021, right? Players that we just saw on NFL rosters last season are not going to make NFL rosters this season and now are going to be available for the XFL. The same players, basically, same type of players that we saw play in the XFL in 2020.
It's pretty exciting to think about. And also as XFL fans, I think in year one, we kind of connected to these players in that first iteration, this first year, and just 5 weeks of football. And I feel like I am a PJ Walker fan for life, and seeing him today get signed by the Carolina Panthers, I couldn't be happier for him, and I can't wait to see what happens with his career. And he's an XFL guy for life now.
But you mentioned PJ Walker, a player that's is very noticeable. The notoriety of that player is great. I'm a Jordan Smallwood fan. You know what I mean? That's someone that you really. Oh, sorry. Thank you. That's someone that maybe normally doesn't even get on the radar of anybody. But the XFL gave that to us, and there's a lot of players out there that I think, if you watch the XFL, you know about Cam Phillips, you know about PJ Walker, you know about Landry and Cardell and Josh Johnson. but it's all the other players that I think we've been familiar. Boogie Roberts, I had a conversation with him before the season even started, and it was just a lot of fun. So I think us as true XFL day oneers were able to obtain relationships with some of these players, even though they don't know us. I feel like we know a lot of them.
Oh, absolutely. And, we're going to follow their careers, and that's what this was all about this first day. We'll see who else goes. There's a lot of lists out there, who we could see going to the NFL, and I think the first three guys we saw, Bryant, were definitely on my list, especially when you talk about P.J. Walker, a number one for sure. He goes to Carolina, reuniting with his college coach. Great story. Really cool. Really cool. You called it. You called it a week ago. You said, he's going to Carolina. And I said,
No, you didn't even say probably. You said Kyle Allen is tough, is what you said.
He got cut.
That's all you said.
And then they got Teddy Bridgewater. You're right. But either way, that'll be interesting to see what happens there, what kind of opportunities P.J. Walker gets. Then you got Jordan Ta'amu going to KC from St. Louis, joining the Super Bowl champs. And we'll see if he backs up Patrick Mahomes. Athletic quarterback, similar athleticism. I don't know about the MVP caliber. We'll see what Jordan Ta'amu does, but that's awesome to see him get his NFL opportunity after showing up big for the St. Louis BattleHawks.
Who was the backup in KC? Matt Moore, right? Matt Moore was the backup in Kansas City. Very different style than Patrick Mahomes. So I think getting Jordan Ta'amu there and hopefully, gets a spot behind Patrick Mahomes. You're running basically the same style of offense with the two players, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Good luck to him.
Yeah, you could pretty much ask him to do the same things, except I don't know if Ta'amu's capable of some of the left-handed throws.
We're not skilled, but I'm not skill level. We're not talking, but at least the style is.
He's a creative
very
football player. That's exactly what Andy Reid likes. So that's no surprise that Ta'amu is one of the first guys to get a shot. And then Dietrich Nichols, interception leader, Houston Roughnecks. The DB goes to the New Orleans Saints. And those are your first three, at least announced. Rumors swirling about some other players, Bryant, but so far those are the ones that have been reported by various outlets. And really cool to see the first crop of guys. Hopefully not too many now. Obviously, we want to see these guys make some money and succeed in their football careers, but we want to see a lot of guys stay in the XFL. And, yeah, those are the first three. I'm interested to see who goes next. I honestly have no idea. Cam Phillips is one I'm very interested to see where he goes, if he goes. And then even better is, how do these teams react? How do the Roughnecks replace P.J. Walker? They have Connor Cook.
They still got Connor Cook.
If they bring him back. And then you got the St. Louis BattleHawks. What do they do? So it's going to be fun to see. And for you Houston Roughnecks fans, I got to say I kind of feel for you because you're on a roll.
They might get picked apart, by the way, just in this entire process.
And before you could get your championship completely, your team might get a lot of players might get their opportunities, at least in training camps. We'll see if they make it all the way through to the rosters. But there it is. NFL come a call into some XFL players. Brian, I don't know who you expect to see next. I'm going to probably say Cam Phillips. What about you?
Yeah, you got Cam Phillips. I expect Donald Parham from Stetson in Florida to get picked up here pretty soon. Butler
all 6'8" of them.
Houston. Yeah, it's a big guy. I'm very curious as to what Josh Johnson's going to do. I think that's one of the bigger stories this offseason. If he goes back to get, is he going to bounce around to another team? Is he going to stick with the Wildcats and enjoy playing? He's one of those veterans that's made a lot of money in the NFL over the last few years. We'll talk about the pros and cons of staying in the XFL or not, I think, a lot this offseason, Alan. But to see some of these players already starting to get signed means that the NFL was looking. They weren't, not paying attention. And hopefully these players, have great lengthy careers in the NFL. Their success is going to be kind of the road to future XFL players going forward as well.
So there you have it. We'll keep you updated on this show as those come in before our episodes, and we'll talk about them each time players make that jump. And it's fascinating. It's the football offseason is always nuts, but this one is particularly crazy because it's earlier And, you got Kenny Robinson getting drafted too. We got to keep an eye out on that. So we will be watching out for all of it here. And, we're not going to get too worried about it. We're going to calm down, as Josh Johnson says. And if a player goes to the Carolina Panthers, say PJ Walker, if you're a Houston Roughnecks fan, deep breath, 2021, lots of opportunity. Remember, Allen just picked any quarterback to be the MVP because they're playing for June Jones. You're going to be all right. You're going to be fine replacing him.
Well, also I will say this. He's a great player, but I will say this. Houston Roughneck fans, most of them probably didn't even know who PJ Walker was before the season started. So now you bring in somebody else who you don't know who he is, same position you were with PJ Walker as the start of the season.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, you developed that relationship with PJ Walker if you were.
It was 5 weeks. Oh, come on!
It was the best 5 weeks of my life. We went to the drive-in, and we went and we.
That's why growing up, Alan, I told you don't say the L word after 2 dates. Don't get so attached. Don't say it so.
Well, if you're going 5-0, it's hard not to. It's very hard not to. All right, there it is. That's the cover too, and. Like we said, on the next episode, we're certain other players will go, and we'll talk about them here on the show. We appreciate you tweeting at us your reactions to these as well at XFL Show. We want to hear what you think of these players making the jump. Now we take it to this very special moment here, Bryant. Red carpet time, because we're not getting to the countdown just yet, but it's award season. Here we are. What's the trophy? What are we giving away to the winner who's number one on our top offensive players countdown here?
What are we giving them? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the opportunity for an interview. The opportunity for an interview on how about a classic? Ooh, you know what? Hold on.
I got some Icelandic trolls in here.
What if I get this like bronzed or something, and we like the classic?
The classic
we
ball?
hand these out. The classic balls as trophies.
Possibly. Or what about just, hopefully we'll get them on the show. We'll beg them, if anything. But this is going to be our top 5 offensive players of the year, Bryant. Very hard work done for this list between you and I. There was no cutting any corners whatsoever with these 5. And number 1 is going to be taking home the imaginary hardware. Are you ready?
Alan, real quick, before we do get started, I want to ask, what is the criteria for Offensive Player of the Year? Is it stats? Is it wins? What is it for you?
It's a combo. It's stats. It's reliability. It's clutch. It's importance to your team. It's flash. It's all that rolled into one, and it's tough to measure because there were a lot of standouts. I definitely think we had, at least when we started putting this list together, at least 12 names that we got down to 5, and then those 5 have rotated, and some guys left the top 5 and went back on, and new guys came on, and then we settled on this 5. But there were, some great performances in this league. Obviously, there were some top-notch standout talents, but then there were a lot of guys, I think, who put out great tape, are going to probably be getting phone calls to be in training camps during the summer, and who are probably going to be future XFL MVPs as well. So that's my criteria.
Oh, yeah, if they stick around. I'm basically in the same boat as you. It's players who their offensive production was reliable and not dismissible. You looked for this player in every single game to make a splash, and I think that's probably what fits the top offensive player, at least in my mind.
There you go. So there we have our criteria. What that means to you, probably diddly poo, as Jim Mora would say, but it's all about what you think too. We want to hear from you, really. At XFL Show, react to this countdown. Here we go. Are you prepared, Brian? Are you ready? Shall we start the countdown?
I ain't ready.
You ain't ready?
I'm ready.
He's ready. He ain't ready. He ain't ready. He ain't ready. We got to be, Cardell. It's time for the hot read. And the countdown, the top offensive players, hashtag XFL 2020.
in all the XFL. Here's Josh Johnson going deep down the sideline. This time, Trey McBride holds it in.
Johnson led him to a touchdown drive in the last possession. He wants to go for it all here. It is caught inside the 10.
Number 5, Josh Johnson, Bryant, the LA Wildcats quarterback, coming in at 5. You fought really hard for him to get as high as possible on this list. I was a little bit more reluctant because he missed the game, but obviously he was the best leader, I think, in the XFL, if you ask me.
So leadership is not a criteria for you in Offensive Player of the Year.
It is, and he had the 2 highest scoring games from any offense as a quarterback. That's huge as well. There are 4 other players I thought that stood out a little bit more, but maybe is this ageism?
I feel like you think there's like 6 or 7 players that stood out. I don't even know if you put Josh Johnson in your top 5.
At first, no. I didn't.
You look at the stats, Alan, you really have to kind of think of it. Second in the league in passing yards, 1,076. Second in the league in TDs. First in terms of interceptions for players that played more than 4 games. To me, and the leadership skills, when you're talking about somebody who pretty much put the team on his back, Josh Johnson to me had one of the best seasons that a player could have in the XFL, and to me, he should have been a little higher than number 5. But I'll stick with you as long as we're talking about him. Josh Johnson at number 5.
And he was number 2. You said in passing yards, right? He was the
number 2 in TDs, number 1 in interceptions. That played 4 more games. I mean, come on.
The guy who had no fear when it came to telling his own offensive coordinator to just basically be quiet and call plays because he was entrusted with running that offense. I don't think Norm Chow had any problem with that whatsoever. And Josh Johnson was really fun to watch. Definitely worthy of the list. I'm fine with it. And I'm glad he made it, actually, in the end, Brian. I'm happy you convinced me because he's a Wildcat, and he was the most important player on that team. And I think you and I both were, as fans, feeling confident for the direction the Wildcats were going before the damn season abruptly stopped. And it was all because of Josh Johnson.
It was. Josh Johnson gave something to this team that I think they were lacking in the first week of the season. Alan, also number 1 in QB rating, too, among eligible quarterbacks. So, great season for Josh Johnson.
Great season. He's not the Offensive Player of the Year, though. He's number 5, made the list. Who's number 1 going to be? We'll get there soon enough. Let's take it now to number 4.
To go. Here he is again. And he's in the end zone again for the 2nd straight week. Flowers off his back foot, goes into traffic, and the catch is made. What a grab, and the flag. How did Davion Smith hang on to that one?
Number 4, no copping out at all here, Bryant. You and I could not pick either over the other. So, it's both of them. 𝐬𝐤𝐥𝐿 Patrick and Davion Smith, the running backs from the Tampa Bay Vipers, because, well, they're two-headed serpent. It's this. It's not this. It's this in Tampa. Both of them. You've got Davion Smith to eat up the yardage, maybe play the passing downs a little bit more. 𝐬𝐤𝐥𝐿 Patrick to finish it on the goal line and also have huge runs and run guys over. Both of them were spectacular to watch at times. Both of them had, in the same game, 100 yards against DC, and I think both of them are worthy of this list, and I don't want to take up 2 spots with them, Bryant, so I said let's just put them both at number 4, and you agreed, and I love it.
I agreed quickly when you said that. Alan, 150 attempts between the two, numbers 1 and 3 on the rushing yards list. 4.1 and 4.2. I mean, these guys were just mirror images of each other. It didn't matter who you put in there. They were going to run the ball, get some yards. It was just a double-headed Viper with the Tampa Bay Vipers. And don't forget, they had Taylor Cornelius, too, who could run the ball. That team could run all over you in many different directions with many different players. And I think Smith and Patrick, although it's a little weird to put two players in one spot, because it wasn't a tie, technically. It was just us putting two players in one spot. It's a very XFL show thing to do. I will say...
It's our show.
They both deserve it. Yeah, it is.
It's our list.
Show.
It's our list. We'll do what we want. And let us know what you think of that, though. I mean, if you had to choose, general football fan, would you have gone Smith or Patrick? And I know BattleHawks fans are saying, I would have gone Matt Jones.
You're also talking...
I would have gone Cameron.
You're also listening to the... You're listening to the man who picked two people to win his MVP to hedge his bet a little bit, too, by the way.
No, I picked one player. Only one quarterback plays for the Roughnecks, and that's who I picked. The quarterback of the Roughnecks. And here we pick the running back of the Tampa Bay Vipers for number 4 on our top offensive players. Countdown taking us now, Bryant, to number 3.
The 18, we'll go back to it. Jones firing. He's got him open and Parham rolling his way in the end zone for the touchdown.
Get something off of this edge. They got it off in time. Jones. Caught Parham. The big tight end rumbles down the sideline. 6'8" and speed. His second touchdown of the half. 65 on that one.
Number 3, so tall, so graceful, so damn good out of nowhere. How is this guy...
Out of nowhere?
How is this guy, Donald Parham... Listen, you weren't saying anything about Donald Parham until, like, maybe...
Training camp.
The first time you laid eyes on him. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
You didn't know who he was before then. You weren't following Stetson football.
You probably hate scouts who go to games to watch players. Is that what you do?
I appreciate when they...
You like to analyze players by paper.
No paper champions on this countdown. This is all stuff we've seen on tape. But honestly, who had heard of Donald Parham before the XFL? Not many of us, but he shows up, all 6'8" of him, and just freaking dominated, Brian. I mean, as a tight end, putting up numbers as good as pretty much any receiver in the league, save a couple elite wideouts. He was the target for the Dallas Renegades and essential to their game plan.
He was, and with 4 touchdowns, tied for second in the league. Don't forget that 65-yard run where he was just jogging across, and all of a sudden he just gets into gear and he goes all the way through. He was a lot of fun to watch. Really a great target to have in the red zone. I fully expect him to be on an NFL roster come training camp. 24 receptions, 307 yards, 12.8 per reception. It's a pretty solid year for someone who came out of nowhere that I predicted would have a big season based on the fact that I saw him play in training camp with my own 2 eyes.
Who knows how the offseason will go, but if he does get back into the XFL, I wouldn't mind seeing Josh Johnson throw to him next time instead. That would be nice. We'll see what kind of movement happens. But that guy is someone you want on your team. What a freaking target. Nearly uncoverable. And he showed off some speed.
He was like $12,200 on DraftKings. He was like the second highest wide receiver in terms of value on DraftKings that you could. That's some serious statistics there.
If there was any player that was, I think, just a giant ball of clay in the XFL this season, just a raw talent that untapped really from these professional coaches, it was Donald Parham, and he went out there and he got coached up by Hal Mummy and by Bob Stoops. He played with Landry Jones. He got a taste of what it's like to work with some just elite football people, coaches and teammates. And where this guy goes next, with the athleticism, the size, you just can't teach it. And he executed well. It's not like he was out there a bumbling tall fool. He was an athlete, an elite one, dominating at times. Who the hell knows what's next for him? But any human that big is going to be doing special things if their mind's in it. And his was.
We don't have the stats. We don't have the stats in front of us, Alan. But I'm sure on conversions as well, a huge target, if I remember correctly. A lot of times, being someone that you could just kind of cover. How do you cover this man? How? You got to put your tallest man, whether he plays offensive line, defensive line, whatever. If he plays quarterback and that's your tallest man, you put him to cover this guy because that's the only way. He just outreaches you. Doesn't even outjump you. He outreaches you.
Figure out how to plug him at the line of scrimmage as much as possible and avoid him getting downfield, because if he gets open, any kind of space, he's going to catch it, and he might even outrun you. What a season it was to watch Donald Parham, the Dallas Renegades, the tight end, all 6'8" of them. Tremendous, tremendous season. Cannot wait to see what's next for his career in particular. Now we go to number 2 on the countdown, Bryant, and he is the elite QB in this league this year, and he's finishing up at number 2 in our offensive players countdown.
Expect under. Fumble the snap. Walker picks it up. Now trying to turn something out of nothing and into the end zone for the most unlikely of touchdowns. Off the fumbled snap, P.J. Walker picks it up and runs into the end zone.
Working back to the quarterback at such a severe angle so he can't drive the route.
Look at Walker running people over. P.J. Walker put the shoulder pads down.
Who do we think we are putting P.J. Walker number 2 in anything, Bryant? But he lands at the 2 spot in this countdown. Obviously can make the argument for number 1 for P.J., but, I mean, we'll get to why in just a moment. Let's just talk about why he's on this list at all and why he's probably an MVP when we get to that show. I mean, undefeated quarterback, big plays left and right, very few mistakes. And even when he made mistakes, he turned them into touchdowns sometimes. It was just all clicking for this guy. It was as if the football god said, the XFL is for you, P.J. Walker. Enjoy it, my son. Have fun. Play. Frolic. Show off. And go get your contract with the Carolina Panthers. And that's what he did. It was all about P.J. Walker this season. Easily could be our number 1, Bryant. But number 2 ain't too bad either for the Houston Roughnecks QB.
184 attempts. That's how many times June Jones put this ball in his hands. And that was just throwing. He did run a lot. He did take some sacks, but that's just because he was trying to extend the play. I mean, really, if you think about it, 24 rushing attempts as well. I mean, the man was basically the offensive machine for the Houston Roughnecks. You're right. Could we have put him number 1? Probably. I think you and I both instantly agree that he would be number 2, and I think this is where the controversy starts maybe a little bit. But 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,338 yards. That's a season, and that was only halfway through. Alan, you laughed at me earlier this week because I sent you this, and you're like, what are you talking about? Why are you doing this? I wanted to do this because I wanted you to compare his season to as if he had 16 games. Because someone goes, 15 touchdowns, 1,338 yards. In 5 games, that's what is that? Well, if you take that and you multiply it across an NFL season so you can get more familiarity with those numbers, 48 touchdowns and then 4,282 yards. That's kind of what it equates to, which is a pretty good season for the length of time that he actually played it.
I mean, there's a lot of holes people could poke into your 16-game thing, but I like that just emphasizes how the trajectory P.J. Walker was on in the XFL. Even going out to 10 games, the numbers would have been amazing, and he definitely would have been an MVP candidate. And the reason why he got the call from Carolina and his former head coach, because he showed this guy could put an offense on his back. He can make huge plays, fearless throws. Nobody in this league, maybe Josh Johnson, was as fearless as P.J. Walker. And I'm not even talking about going down.
I would need to give Josh Johnson that credit.
I would, because Josh Johnson would throw downfield, but P.J. Walker put his shoulder into some guys as well. He went for it, man. He took. I love watching him play because he saw the XFL. Here's my opportunity, and he nobody I think took it as seriously as P.J. Walker did when it came to the opportunity, the chance to be on TV playing football and proving you're the best player on the field. Players like that are the most fun to watch. I just want to say thank you to P.J. Walker for the effort because, damn, you put it all out there in those 5 weeks. 5-0. Can't argue against it, but didn't get him number 1 on our list. Let's see what people say when we tell them who our offensive player of the year is. Bryant here coming in at number 1.
Well, they patched things up, but they've never talked about that Black Rose thing. Here's Walker to the seam to Cam Phillips. Touchdown. Roughnecks back on top. Walker melting that play clock all the way down. Wants to throw for it, steps up and fires. It's Phillips down by the goal line and in. Touchdown, Roughnecks. Second of the day, 9th of the season for Cam Phillips, the XFL leader.
Yeah, the argument could be made for P.J. Walker, but Cam Phillips had three Stars of the Week awards. How many touchdowns, Brian? I lost count. And yeah, he was P.J. Walker's favorite target, but to be a consistent target in this league, we honestly, I think there's a handful, maybe not every team had their receiver showing up every single week. Cam Phillips pretty much showed up every single week, save one week where he was strategically really taken out of the game. It was a well done job by, was it Dallas who took him out?
Yes.
But other than that, virtually unstoppable. I mean, when a big play, short yardage, yak, whatever you needed, Cam Phillips was there. And the numbers just too hard to argue against for me for this award, Bryant. That's really, stats maybe weighed the most for Cam Phillips. I didn't take him into a huge account in other spots, but those are overwhelming, all those touchdowns and the weekly awards the hardware he took home. Amazing job. Offensive Player of the Year, according to us.
Number 1 in receptions with 31, number 1 in yards with 455, number 1 in touchdowns with 9, and number 1 with Player of the Week awards with 3 of those. Alan, you talk about offense, that's what Cam Phillips is, right? You know, P.J. Walker, great player, nothing taken away from him because he's a great offensive star. But just in pure offense, talent, something you have to worry about, someone you have to look out for the entire time. Cam Phillips, the man, had one bad game in the Houston Roughnecks, still won, but he was strategically stopped. I mean, they basically probably double teamed him most of the game because you have to, and that's something that you have to take into account, is that they took him out of the game, and because he was that big of an importance. He didn't have a bad game. They just took him out of the game.
He's a factor. Yeah, he's a factor that's you're gonna game plan against, and if you didn't, he made you pay. And to be that reliable to make you pay was amazing to watch. Like a player just come out of there and have that chemistry with his quarterback. How do you do that? Having barely, you had your training camps for a couple months, but him and P.J. Walker look like they have been, they were a Young and Rice playing together for years and years, and we played one season, 5 games together. It's insane, really, to think about that production they had as a tandem. It was awesome.
It was just like they've been playing for years. It was a lot of fun to watch. I'm sure Cam Phillips will get his opportunity in the fall, but for right now, he is the winner of our official XFL Show Offensive Player of the Year for XFL 2020.
There it is. The countdown is over. Our first one for our awards here, Bryant. Cam Phillips taking home Offensive Player of the Year.
We need a hashtag so people can discuss this on Twitter and stuff.
Hashtag XFL Show Awards.
Ooh. How about XFL? Yeah, hashtag XFL Show Awards.
There you go. I'm a social media genius. Hashtag XFL Show Awards. And when you do that and you tweet at us at XFL Show, I cannot wait for you to say, yeah, you just gave Cam Phillips that because you're going to give P.J. Walker MVP. We'll see. You'll have to wait and find out who we give MVP. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe don't tell us how to give our awards away. We're the committee. This is it right here. Put a lot of hard work into this. No, but we appreciate your
feedback.
I
never know which side I'm on.
Yeah, I don't know. But I want to hear everyone else's picks. But really, I think most of the reaction to this, Brent, will be like, yeah, you could have given it to either one of them, and we chose Cam Phillips just because.
But I think you and I both chose. It wasn't a discussion really, and it was just because I think you look at Cam Phillips, and for some reason it screams Offensive Player of the Year, right? He was just so much better. Like Josh Johnson was on. Like if Josh Johnson had 5 games instead of the 4, he would have been right there with PJ with stats, right? Cam Phillips, far and away better than anyone, and he basically didn't even get I think he got 1 reception in 1 game. So offense production,
and now that means offense is in the books. We've got that. That's official. That is forever. Cam Phillips, the first XFL Show Offensive Player of the Year. He took home the Big O. Maybe we'll get like just a Big O trophy to give him. Send him a Big O.
No, because then we got to get one for the defense, and I'm not a fan of.
And then Bryant wants to give next week. Listen and watch as Bryant gives away the big Defensive Player of the Year award at the end of the show. That
that's actually not next week, Alan. That's Friday morning because that's what we're doing this week.
What day is it?
Make sure you tell your friends.
Honey, what quarantine day are we in? What is this, 12? I don't know. Yeah, this Friday morning is the defensive.
Is she still not letting you out of that room? I just... Oh, man, poor Alan.
Because the good thing is the door has a lot of room on the bottom, so she could just slide my meals under there every day.
Just your gluten-free meals. Gotcha. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at XFL Show. Remember, use that hashtag XFL Show Awards, and let us know what you think of our choice for Offensive Player of the Year in the XFL. Subscribe and listen. Tell your friends about us. We're going to be here every Tuesday morning, Friday morning on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your preferred podcast app. And don't forget, you can now watch us. You can watch us, Alan, on XFL.com or YouTube.com/XFL, the official YouTube page of the XFL.
Yeah, we're here for you if you need us. Tuesday mornings, Friday mornings. And we have some awards to give away over the course of the next few episodes. We're going to do some more interviews. We thank Drew from St. Louis for joining us on that Skype call earlier. And hopefully we'll be talking to some of you fans, or you just call that fan line, 724-5654-XFL, and leave your own messages, reactions to these awards we're giving away. Defense coming up. We'll have MVP. We'll be talking coaches, maybe
Rookie
plays.
of the Year is going to be my favorite.
Rookie of the Year. Which the criteria for that is what? Having never played a down of professional football in a regular season game.
Yep.
There are actually quite a few rookies to choose from in that category. Might make it the most difficult. We'll see. We're going to have fun with it. And if you have any top 5s you want us to dive through, because we've got countdown fever. I'm counting up my quarantine days, but I want to count down on some XFL 2020 stuff here. I want to count down some fun stuff, maybe. Quotes.
Man.
Maybe we'll do quotes. We've got some stuff in the holster here that we've been talking about doing. So if you have any suggestions, this is your show too. This is for football fans, by football fans. We'd love to hear it at XFL Show. But I got to get working on the D here now. Bryant, defensive players coming up Friday. This one's going to be very fun, and I just like watching defensive highlights. That's my favorite part of doing the research for the next episode.
Well, we'll get there on Friday morning. Make sure you're checking us out, Defensive Player of the Year.
Practice your pronunciation. It's Bunmi Rotimi. Just heads up.
Bunmi Rotimi.
You got it.
I got you. Adam Scheffler. Still not right, huh?
No. He's
I'll never get that one right. But.
He might. I don't think we're going to do an XFL Reporter of the Year. But if there is, we're not giving.
Well, you're looking at 1 and 2 right here, baby. What else do you need?
I don't know. Dinah Rossini's pretty damn good.
That's true, actually. We're talking about sideline. I mean, if I was on the sideline, I could tell people not to cuss.
Matt McGloin would have punched you in the face if you were the one asking him on the sideline. All right, bantered enough here. That's it. Offensive Player has been given away. We look forward to Friday's Defensive Player of the Year countdown, and we look forward to talking to you in between then. On social media at XFL Show. Go to XFL.com for the latest throughout the week. We'll be keeping track of what players make that jump to fall football. And, we'll see you on the next one. For Bryant, I'm Alan. Please stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside, and just listen to all of our shows. They're all on the podcast feed, back catalog. We're on the road to kickoff has begun. 2021. Here we come. This is the XFL Show. Remember, they're listening.